The following video contains spoilers for NieR Replicant, NieR Automata, Final Fantasy XIV, maybe even Drakengard. I don't know, man. This stuff's crazy.
The year is 2054. An Arctic winter moves across the land because of some unknown tragedy. Monstrous shades go through the streets, and you and your sister, hobbled in a Vons, sit in the aisle with your trusted pipe. You kick that book away and you split cookies. You fight those monsters. Then, 1,542 years later, you wake up in a small village in a world covered in magic. We played NieR Replicant version 1.79997432.1.
I mean, that's pretty accurate. The ... point, like, you know, the number was off.
Nobody even knows about it. Tell them about this beautiful game.
Well, today on this episode of Gentleman's Gaming Club, we play the prequel to the game we played for our very first episode, Automata, another one of the NieR series. And let me tell you, this is just as crazy, it's just as wild, and I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty sexy.
It's pretty sexy. It is a full remake, if you will, of a 2010 game that was awful, and they made it so much more better. Kind of.
Except for the parts they didn't.
There's a lot of stuff they didn't touch, and that stuff's awful, but all the stuff they did touch is super great.
Do you like fishing quests?
Play this game. That's it. It's a lot of fishing quests. You do a lot of fishing in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you master fishing at one point.
Yeah, but there's also fighting, I guess. Yeah, do you like questioning your own reality and wondering if you yourself are real, but at the same time, you know, kind of being turned on?
Do you ever wonder where all the humans went and if you're responsible for it, all while having, you know, happiness in your pants?
I mean, that's where I was going, but I didn't know that we were gonna talk about it.
Happiness in your pants.
I don't like that.
What?
Whatever this Oompa Loompa dance you're doing is.
Oh, it's not an Oompa Loompa dance. Jesse, you ever wanted to punch God in the face?
You know, ever since NieR Automata, I have, yes.
Our hero sets out for a journey. Every time he's told, don't finish your journey, he pushes on through, and he destroys the world in doing so.
I don't know how to describe this game at all in a way that makes any sense, in a way that you can tell other people, here is what you're getting into. We are here talking about it, and I'm still not sure how we got here.
I want people to play this game and enjoy this universe, but I can't tell you to go walk around for 30 hours, because you're gonna walk to that seaside town and then drop off a plant and then walk back. There's so much walking back and forth.
Or riding on random animals you find in the world. Which is pretty great.
Which is great, but you always run into that one weird tree, right? You never make that turn quick enough.
Hit a wall, hit a tree. Yeah, you go to town and he'll throw you off while you're trying to get to town. It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
I know exactly everything you're talking about because the game itself, while being very big, is very small. And everyone, I think, has the same experience because everyone's gonna see everything because there's no way you're gonna miss anything.
There's no hidden nooks in this game.
No.
The only hidden nook in this game is the secret ending E.
Which is new.
Which is
new
brand
thing.
new.
Yeah.
But everything else, in a normal playthrough of the game, you touch every element of this world. And the way that the game recycles itself, you revisit it multiple times. In Automata, the dual world, if you will, is the real world and then like the Matrix world when you're in the machines.
Yeah.
And this time, it's sort of like Legend of Zelda, if you will. You like go to the temple when you're a kid, but then you go to the temple when you're an adult and you see like time has passed and stuff like that. They get so much out of this tiny open world.
Yeah, and I actually really enjoyed that.
It's the best, worst game design.
It really is, and I think that's because some stuff was updated and some stuff was not.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, that big long number, it's basically 1.5. It's basically like a 1.5, but they didn't want to call it a 1.5 because everything else is a 1.5 now.
Right.
But it's somewhere between an upgrade and a remake, and the quality of life changes they've made. I will never play the original game. This is the definitive version of the game.
So the original NieR Replicant, or I guess it had a different name when it came out.
NieR Gestalt?
Yeah, well, so that's very important. And it matters. Gestalt is a thing that is important, that even if you watched our Automata video, it's important to that. It's important to the NieR series. But we had, in the States, Papa NieR, which was the dad, which I'm gonna let you know, until later in the game when we had like upgraded bro NieR. Yeah, I was missing Papa NieR. I wanted to be like the dad doing like, oh, I'm tough out here in the woods, right? You know, dads.
After playing the game in its entirety, the fact that Dad would make the choices that he does feels so selfish, where young man NieR, brother NieR, you fall in love with your companions, and that love story feels so much more real to me than an old 40-year-old man being like, Kaine, come on, let's go. You can raise my daughter now. It's so much better with young man.
I remember playing demos of it. I remember seeing friends play it, and I liked the idea of the dad. Having played through this now, I get bro NieR. I understand why the Japanese version had the brother. I'm really curious why they thought Americans would respond better to a dad.
I guess they saw The Last of Us on the wall before any of us, like a decade. They're like, oh, that's a story people want.
So just to break down the setup for this game, you are this boy we'll call NieR.
Hold on, that's not the beginning of the game. The game opens in the year 2053 in the middle of a brutal snowstorm.
You are correct, yes, yeah.
And we're in sort of a Walmart, we're sort of in a gas and go, and we see two siblings starving on the ground, and then you gotta lay down that pipe. You're a pipe warrior. That's what you do.
There's like a book nearby, and it's a little weird, and you don't know what that is.
And he goes, don't ever touch, don't accept that book.
And then weird, they remind me of kind of like if you pull all the stuff out of a cassette tape and then send it to attack a person.
Yeah.
They're really unsettling and kind of neat, and right away they throw you into it, and the fight mechanics immediately, my hand reset itself in Automata shape. I was like, okay, I gotta have one hand on this trigger and one hand up here, and I gotta move this and press this. I was in claw form again. I was ready. I was set for this.
These are not blocking games. Offense is your best defense.
Except against some of the big guys.
For you.
Where when you sort of, I was about to say riposte, like somehow I know what the hell that means.
Yeah.
But when, you purposefully block and then you can sort of push them back. But like, unless you're trying to show up for the internet, you just dodge roll.
I never blocked once. You dodge roll, and then the things that have those guards, you do that charge up Mega Man shot. You do that charge up shot, boom, get in there, quick kill with 0.
And so, of course, at the end of this intro, you are left with this mysterious kind of, are they all right? What's gonna happen to these two? They appear to be the only living people left. Cut to
1,412 years later.
It is so jarring. It is just like,
the moment that happened, I said, yep, this is a Jesse game.
I was on stream when it occurred, and I could not believe, I laughed so hard. I was like, this is the Yoko Taro I want. The minute it occurred, I was like, what are we gonna do? And then from that point on, those two characters, whoever they were, are not the main characters. Now we're greeted by what I guess canonically is supposed to be NieR, but in reality, you can name the character whatever you want, and it said enter your name. So I just wrote Jesse Cox, and for the rest of the game, they were like, okay, Jesse Cox.
I went with the classic regular first name trope. My guy was just a Michael. It felt very religious, so I have a lot of religious imagery in my head.
No, I was Jesse Cox, specifically. Every time anyone addressed me full name, it was lovely and weird.
It was very lovely and weird. And then you are presented with a fantasy world, something out of Game of Thrones, something that has nothing to do with the year 2053 at all.
Exactly what I was gonna say. It is totally out of left field. It feels incredibly weird, but at the same time, because we've played Automata, I knew this was some BS.
Yep.
The minute it happened, I was like, all right, we've been spoiled a little. I understand that whatever this is a setup for something even crazier, and I can't wait. In Automata, there's no humans left.
Right.
Humanity is dead. wherever we're at, I was expecting some weird, like, okay, so who are these people? What's going on here? This isn't the Automata that I remember.
Right.
Because in that game, years before the story takes place, aliens invade Earth, and they apparently, according to that story, kill off humanity. But the discovery at the end is humanity was dead the entire time. There was no humanity on Earth. The aliens just fought other androids that were on the planet. So I'm thinking, what is this game we're playing now?
Well, Jesse, you're getting ahead of yourself. Here we are. It's a quiet town. It's a quiet village. Every day like the day before. And our little boy is a quest boy. He's a helpful kid around the town.
And he's doing it mostly because his sister is sick.
Yes, she is bedridden, which instantly makes you start thinking, well, is that related to the scene at the beginning of the game? But it can't be related to the scene at the beginning of the game.
The sister was sick at the beginning. This character, Yonah, who the minute it said Yonah, I was like, you mean like Yorha?
Yes, absolutely.
So even then I was hyper suspicious of everything happening in this game. It very much seems to be people are thriving despite hostile forces.
Yeah, and the initial sort of quest that you go on is to improve your sister's life, and in doing so, he meets all the challenges that come his way, which usually means killing sheep. There's a lot of really brutal things that happen, but it sort of happens in that like agrarian lifestyle of like, well, we gotta kill all these sheep today.
And this is what's interesting because the side questing in this game, which I will say is very early 2000s, it is not great. Everything else about this game is phenomenal. Side questing sucks.
The side questing in this game is the paywall, if you will, that will prevent most people from being able to delve in this game because you do awful things. You gotta bring seeds. You gotta bring the seeds back. And then the person's like, oh, I need you to go back again.
I need you to go get me these fish. Oh, you got me these fish? Now go get me these fish. Okay, get me these other fish. And then you find other quests from like a barkeep. It's like, you know what? Shark fin soup would be great. So it's like, all right, so how much fishing do I have to learn in order to get sharks?
You can't just go get that shark. You gotta go back to the old man and then beat the other mission that you thought you could pass. Also, you can't skip anything, which means if you forgot to do a fishing mission early on, you will get to a point where you can't do anything. That's it. You can't do anything. There's no way to go back and finish that plot point.
Which is why everyone while I was playing on stream was like, bro, you need to hit 50% quest completion by this point. What do you mean? They're like, we'll let you know when. So at a certain point in the middle of the story, I stopped everything I was doing and only did side quests. So I was running around and clearly I can see the building I need to go to because I've run past it 85 times at this point. But I refuse to walk in because I have all these other things to do. I gotta get the mutton lady 100
the mutton lady.
I got an achievement though. I felt good about that. But I had to get her 100 damn mutton and I was just like, this is such ass. At a certain point, I'm gonna say 25% into the game, you've seen everything except for like one or two places.
Yeah, you're right, because by 25% of the game, you've already gone to the Airy. You've already gone to the robot dungeon up in Desert Town.
You've been to the forest. You've been to the weird like brothers that run the weapon place.
Yeah.
You've seen everything. And at that point, I was like, does this get bigger? But then it does what it does.
I cannot tell you how many nights I would close my eyes and hit the pillow, and instantly I would just hear that song. I have
the mixed version of the Devila and Popola song in my head.
The song of the ancients. Yeah.
Yes, the song when you go into the bar and they're both in the bar together. What a slapping, bopping jam.
Well, what this game does, what I really like, and I wish more games do, that instead of getting big in the world, it invests into its characters. The scene between the characters are so good.
The characters themselves don't necessarily make any sense on paper.
None. If you were to be like, oh, his name is number 7, but he goes by Emil, and he has a sister who was done experiments on in a secret government facility, who then's body is then absorbed by her brothers, it makes no sense.
If I were to say to you that your fellow protagonist was a book with a weird accent and like inflection and everything he says, who shoots demon hands out of it and talks shit to you the entire time. And then your other companion was a lingerie wearing, sailor cussing ninja woman. You would be like, what is this game? But also you'd say, how can I play it?
This feels like the most adult Final Fantasy game we've never gotten. This feels like the game that instead of like some, like a Super NES game where it's a top down and like, here's your blue mage and here's this. Here are characters that are the 4 members of any Final Fantasy party, but they are adults and they are real and have wants and needs and connect with each other in a way that feels devoid of other. I wish other games would do this.
It walks a line between what like a 13-year-old thinks adult is. It's like, that lady's got boobies and those guys swear and like it's violent. And then what real adulthood is, which is like, it's a deep game that focuses on some messed up stuff and it gets real philosophical, just like all of the NieR games do.
At no point in a Final Fantasy game does the mayor of the town go like, that blue lion guy, he can't come here anymore.
You are correct, but also at no point in any Final Fantasy game did 2 of the characters in your party start swearing at each other and call each other little bitches.
If we should get separated, just whistle. I'll come.
The first maybe 4 or 5 hours Grimoire Weiss is with you as you do all these missions, I hated him. Hated his pompous attitude. I hated his stupid voice readings.
Liam
O'Brien, I hated you for 5 hours. But then, now you're like, oh, I love him. Voice performances in this game are something more than a normal video game.
They're so much fun, and I don't know if they went back and redid these voices, but watching famous voice actors just have a good time speaks volumes about what this game is.
Just letting them go into the studio and saying, here's a 2-paragraph monologue of you screaming, go give me what you got, because boy, do they get great stuff out of them.
And say fuck a lot, just like a lot.
As many times as you want to say fuck. We're past the first 5 minutes in this video, right? We can say fuck now. Okay, good. Yeah.
Oh, asshole. Ass. God damn it! Fucking bastard! Dumbass! Fucking fucking fuckwit! Shit. Dumbass. Asshole. Fuck the jackass shit first! Fuck off, motherfucker. Shit fucking shit.
Oh, Laura Bailey.
Her voice acting in this is a reel on itself. For any of these characters, it's just done so well, and it's bogged down with all of these, go get these seeds!
I think the problem is for us, we were trying to complete as much as we could, so those side quests, 99% of them do not matter to the story. There are some ones that are fascinating. Like
red bag guy.
Mm-hmm. He grows on you, and I think all of the characters do.
Even
the characters
do.
That you think are over the top and weird and dumb, they all grow because they all have character development, which is something that in a game where the world is small yet big is needed, because they give you enough time with these characters. And when we're talking about enough time, we're talking 40, 50, 60 hours.
Yeah.
Just like Automata, you're gonna be playing this one for a while.
But those moments felt so real, watching them sit outside under the starlight and talk around a campfire about what they wanted and what things that they remember and what was your mom like or what can you. All of those scenes resonate with me so much and make this game feel something more than just a game where there's lots of games with cutscenes in it and people talking, and those scenes don't resonate with me, but these ones really do.
And what's interesting is that this is a game where we have all these moments, but at its core, all this dude wants to do is save his sister. That is the driving force of the game. That is all that matters. Every other character is just along for the ride, and they keep trying to drag Jesse Cox or Michael, keep trying to drag the main character down different roads, but he is focused on saving his sister. I guess that goes back to the dad thing. I understand maybe why the father, like, I'll do anything to save my kid. And it makes a lot of sense as to why the ending is as messed up as it is. If you keep thinking about how dedicated he is to his sister.
He rips the fabric of his world apart, Jesse, and he's told, don't do it, turn back. Don't do it. And every single time you pull out that sword and you fucking chop him in half.
Very much like NieR Automata, there is a moment where you realize there is a little more under the surface than just we're running around green pastures killing cassette tape men and doing side quests and trying to save our sister. And it's not when you get the book. The book was interesting. Like Grimoire Weiss was like, oh, this is an interesting little twist. There's clearly something dark going on here. It wasn't when you fought bigger monsters. It wasn't when you went to see the people in the desert town or the seaside town, or even a meal when that was weird. And that was very weird. But the minute I knew, oh, this is Yoko Taro and we're about to get real weird, is when you go to the forest for the first time. And everyone there's like, yeah, this weird plague that everyone who comes into the forest start to hear people narrating their life, and then they fall into like a coma, and the game literally goes from an action RPG to a text-based adventure. At first, it still has the voiceovers and the characters don't realize what's going on, and then the deeper and weirder you go, they start to fight against the story itself, struggling against the narration. It's freaking wild, and it just keeps going.
The world of NieR is a dark world where people have selfish motives, and so many times early on it doesn't happen. Like
it's a human world.
Yeah, early on you're like, oh, I gotta go find this guy. That guy's dead. I gotta go find that dog with the medicine in its mouth. No, that dog is dead.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it tricks you, like, oh no, he's not dead. He was just walking around looking for a present for his wife. I completely expected that, but then you run into those darker elements when mom leaves her 2 children to go run off with her lover.
Yeah.
That's some dark shit, Jesse.
Going back to the lighthouse woman, she's the only person who knows how to run the lighthouse. So even though her love has died,
And they lie to
like
her.
40 years ago or something crazy
They
like
lie
that,
to her for 40 years.
just to keep her there. And she's like, you know what? Before I die, I'm gonna go see him. And they're like, how do we keep her here? You are tasked with telling her, like, oh, okay, here's the deal. And all this comes from the fact that you've decided to take quests for the post office.
Right.
It's a post office based quest chain, which is crazy. And you wouldn't know that unless you were 5 or 6 quests deep into the post office thing.
Yeah.
And it does that to you frequently, where you'll accept weird dumb fetch quests, and then out of nowhere, you'll get caught up in something that really seems to matter, even though technically it doesn't, but it fills out the world in a way that, again, makes it seem very human, which, as we move further, is such an interesting concept.
These games deal with existence in such a weird way of like, what is the point of existence? And what we come to find out is, it is the relationships. It is the people that you interact with. That is why this world matters. So many games try to throw in other sort of genres of video games, right? They try to give you like, oh, here's a driving mission, right? And they always feel tacked on. Where this game, you organically find a text adventure. You organically become a top-down hack and slash when you're going through a meals dungeon all of a sudden. When you get to the first desert temple for the first time, it's not just hack and slash, it's puzzles. And the stupid puzzle where you gotta guard the whole room, and if you run, you lose. Oh, that puzzle was difficult. It was so hard. The missions from the early 2000s are not fun, but everything else feels so good.
This game, at what I would consider the 50% mark, has a twist.
Are we talking about ending A, or are we talking about where you go fight the big monster and we Han Solo Kaine into the wall?
So we have an ending, let's say 0.5.
Yeah.
Where you as young NieR and Kaine and Grimoire Weiss, you're trying to defeat this giant monster, and you're trying to save the people in your town, and Devil and Popo are like, oh no! And in order to stop this monster, which you've locked in the bottom of the building, Kaine sacrifices herself and seals the door shut. And then it fast forwards however many years into the future.
5 years, I believe?
Do we avenge your endgame?
Yeah, I think so.
And now you are old. Your old brother and your sister's still going through it.
And mind you, when we say old brother, when he's a child, he's learning the ways of the world. He's getting these magical verses and stuff like that, but he himself is finding out who he is going to become. When we see him as an adult, he is a killer. He is a child soldier.
Badass.
The people in the town know that he's murdered all these people, right? He has become so hardened and so single-focused that he forgets sometimes what's around him.
Absolutely. And that is the downfall of this character, in that his
Downfall of Jesse Cox, you mean?
Right. Well, when he's good, he's Jesse Cox.
When he's good, okay.
The whole point of this character is that, again, he's trying to save his sister, and he'll do anything to do so. And that's where we get to the kind of like insanity that is this game's plot. I wrote down notes in some way hoping I could explain the connections between connections and explain how this thing works.
We'd have to break down every fight, because every boss fight is revealed more every time you go back to it.
Just like in the playthroughs of 9S, when
Yep.
you go back and fight the 2B fights.
Yeah, but even then in Automata, the Swiss Army knife of that game has all the perfect tools that you need, and this game, they're sort of experimenting with them, and sometimes it's a lot, and sometimes it's not enough, because it's probably not till the third or fourth time you beat the game, right? Because there's ending A, B, and C, but C has 2 paths that you have to go, and you have to beat the game. You have to play all of these ending fights.
You have to do
over.
multiple save files. One ending requires you to get every weapon. At least with Automata, there was a ton of endings, so it felt like kind of fun and silly. This, with the endings, it feels almost like work.
Yeah.
Especially to get the new ending, the E ending. I was surprised how much work they must have put on this new ending to make it make sense and connect everything.
But it's crazy that you're 60 hours in before you get to the new content. If you're gonna play this game, you have to get to ending. C8A, A9, 8E, 686, 6E, 382, B5, E383, BCE,
Are you broken? What is happening to you?
EC, 3E, 383, BC, which is the accomplishment that you get when you beat that ending. That is the official name of Ending E. It's amazing that they would put so much love into this game that you would have to put that much time even to get to it.
I'm gonna try to describe what is happening in this game. The story of the NieR franchise is the ending of Drakengard, which is ending E.
Supposedly the goofy ending of that game.
The goof ending. What happens in it is straight up the evil, like, monster woman
Yeah.
gets sucked to Earth, to Tokyo in 2003 or something like that. And the hero on Dragon flies there, defeats this thing, and then gets blown up by the Tokyo Air Force.
And in the wake of this monster dying, an ash-like substance falls all over Tokyo.
Yes, and this ash-like substance, it basically gives everyone this disease that is called WCS, which is
The World Combat Association?
is not the World Combat Association. It is called white chlorination syndrome.
Oh, okay.
The maso particles are what cause it. You know, maso.
The thing you get when you eat Tide Pods. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
The white chlorination syndrome, literally what it is it turns people into salt.
Oh, okay.
Chloride.
Very biblical, if you will.
But what is revealed is that syndrome is like a misnomer, because what happens is you are connected to a deity from another dimension, and he gives you a choice. Either follow me and become one of the twisted monster creatures, or die. And the people who die are the salt people, and the people who live are the twisted monster creatures. And that is what is happening to Tokyo. That stuff that falls from the sky causes this. You know, that's what destroys the planet. If you get sick, you either serve a god or you die, and everyone in the world dies off or becomes a monster.
Well, technically not everybody,
True.
because in that time, the remnants of mankind try to better themselves to create a weapon to then fight this, which is where we run into Project Gestalt.
Yes, so...
Gestalt! Like the people, Jesse, they turned to
Not
salt!
Gestalt.
Oh, okay.
So the magic from the dragon, this is another one of those things where, I know.
The magic from the dragon, okay.
So the magic from the dragon that was killed, the magic from that the Tokyo Air Force when they killed the dragon, that magic is what is the basis for Project Gestalt. And what they discovered is that you using this magic can rip or separate the souls of people from their own bodies. And these souls are known as gestalts. And what ends up happening is they create replica dolls or shells, replicants, if you will. And as long as the gestalts are alive, the replicants can die 1,000,000 times and keep coming back. And the only thing preventing this is the Black Scrawl, which is unfortunately something that we see numerous times in the game, but do not quite understand what it is until it's far too late.
And the only two people that we see it are the sister Yonah gets it, and also Kaine is also affected by this.
Yes. And Devila and Popola, who are in charge of making sure that this whole thing works, that Project Gestalt works. So the idea is humanity will outlast this demonic influence, or whatever it's supposed to be, the WCS, right? It's gonna outlast that by keeping all of the humanity bits, all of our souls, in kind of a stasis storage. And then when it's gone, we just could like retake our bodies. and we're good.
So just to summarize that, everyone, the character you are the robots. And the shades that you are fighting are human beings. You are murdering what used to be human beings. And the thing you think you're trying to save, you are actively destroying from this earth.
Your character, Jesse Cox, Michael, NieR, is so obsessed with saving his sister from the Black Scrawl that he has convinced himself that he must kill the Dark Lord. The Dark Lord is the boy from 2053.
The Dark Lord is a human being.
The Dark Lord is us.
Is our soul of a reincarnation in the robot body, and he is trying, holding on with as much as he can to his humanity to save his sister, who I guess is now reincarnated, or her body has come back, and he is trying to get his sister's dead soul back into it.
He, as a robot, shows, I'm gonna say, more humanity
Yes.
than the guy who was supposed to be his soul.
See, even as we talk about it like this, I feel like this is the transition from boyhood to a man. Because when he's a boy, he's just like, I just want to beat the bad guy. But then when we get to it, we find out, oh, we're morally complicit in this. We are the problem. We too are a dark lord of this world.
Yeah.
All of the bosses you fight, all of these shades and monsters, they are human beings that are trying to hold on to some part of it. You have the husband and wife that are protecting Grimoire Weiss.
Yeah.
Right? It makes me want to cry because it's so sad, because we are the exterminator that exorcises these spirits from the world.
But from our perspective, we are the humans, they are the monsters, and we are slaying them. Even though the reality is we are not humans at all. We have never been humans. We are shells of humanity. However, it brings up the question what it is to be a human, which is what NieR does the entire time. Whether it be Replicant or Automata or whatever, the idea is dealing with what humanity is, what it means to be sentient, all that stuff. And these people have taken on a life of their own, and they are now fighting against their technical creators, their gods.
Right.
Which is, again, the opening line of Automata is like, if I ever saw God, I'd kick him in the dick. Like, you know?
I couldn't believe, because as we're trying to rip the fabric of this world apart, as we do so, we find out that our companions are what make life worth living.
Yes.
It is this relationship between them, which is kind of a love triangle, because Emil and Kaine, they all in love with the hero.
Well, of course.
When you go see the Desert King when he's about to get married, he's like,
Yeah.
oh, never mind, I don't want to talk about it. He's like, you want to date that guy. You want to marry him, but you can't. But also, one of the things this talks about is love on a much deeper level, because it isn't physical love, because all of our characters are physically not what they seem.
Right, I mean-
Emil doesn't even have there's nothing there. He's a bag of bones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And poor Kaine, who has been cursed since her very beginning, and now has this shadow lord, what is his name? Tirade? Whatever he is, that has decided to control her like a puppet, an abusive relationship, if you will. Mm-hmm. They all still find and learn to love and care. And I like the Kaine-Michael relationship. I find that relationship, as he goes and punch gods in the face, right? And then he finds his sister, ending A, if you will. He gets his sister and he's like, oh, great. But now what?
Yeah.
I got you, but where are you going? And she's like, I gotta go. Peace, brah.
See you in the next version of the game.
See you in the next version. You gotta go do all this shit again.
And what's insane about it is, even though Emil is not a body, and Kaine is overtly a body,
Yeah.
the love between them is never like, yo, we boning?
Right. And I feel like people get that wrong about this game. People look at Kaine and judge her instantly, just like the people in the fucking Airy. You hear that, internet? You are the people of the Airy. You are the bad people, and you are going to fall into a ditch when a shadow kills you.
Just like the Airy, we'll never see any of these people from here.
Yeah, right, correct.
They'll always be behind a door.
Right. Oh my God, the Airy is the internet. I just made that realization right now. They judge her for the way that she looks and not for who she is. And who she is a horribly sad person
Yeah.
whose grandmother mother is brutally murdered in a text adventure, and we find out a little bit more that kind of the fact that she even does good things is amazing, because she could go berserk and be a demon any day of the week.
Right. And that again goes to show you her character and who she truly is that they have the potential for such terrible things and for such evil, but they don't do it, which again says a lot about their humanity, even though none of them are humans.
Right.
And that again goes back to the idea of when Devil and Popola, your besties, the people who've been watching out for humanity, air quotes, when you're like, I'm gonna go throw it down with the Shadow Lord, they're like, heel turn, bitch.
Devil and Popola, much like your parents, they know the path you're on and where it's gonna lead.
Yeah.
And they consistently talk amongst themselves like, do we wanna stop him? And they're like, no, this is his journey. And once they get to the end, mom and dad gotta fucking give you a spanking and go, great, I gotta restart the world again because of you. Spoilers, we murder Devil and Popola.
We are not great. We are not great.
And with the Devil and Popola in the Automata game, it makes me wonder, much like other things that have experimented with these ideas of the world, of how many times has existence restarted? How many times are the people that are here, people, quote unquote, how many times have they all gone away and come back again?
Humanity in this game dies.
Right.
Your character, Jesse Cox Michael, NieR, murders humanity, Devil and Popola, the guardians of humanity. Their last hope is that they can combine Grimoire Weiss with Grimoire Noir, and that will like be able to save humanity. But Weiss is like, F this Noir guy. And he is complicit in the death of humanity too, even though his whole purpose is to combine with Noir and be the last backup for humanity. But we, I think, as characters, convince him because of our struggle and our humanity. We turn that book human to kill other humans.
Absolutely. And the book, who had lost his humanity, then remembers, oh, at one point, I was a human.
Yeah.
And they put me in here, and I forgot about that. But some parts of him still speaks to that lingering humanity that they're all trying to hold on to. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now you've collected all the weapons in the game, you go back.
Well, but before we do that, in Automata, Devil and Popola, they sacrifice themselves to save the new version of humanity. And what's interesting is, technically, they are the superior android species. After everyone dies, 5,000 years goes by before the aliens show up. So there's a time period where humanity is gone, and then androids just live on Earth. There are no more monsters.
Right.
Look at the NieR Automata world versus the world of Replicant.
Yeah, see, I didn't even think about that. Humanity, right?
Those aren't human cities. Those are
robots. They're robot cities. They're robot cities that have now also crumbled, because when we go to those places, humanity hasn't been there for a very long time.
And humanity wasn't there ever, because those were cities built by androids, dude. It's crazy. And all those robots that are like replicating humans, the alien robots that are like pretending to have sex or raise kids, they're basing their shit off of androids basing their shit off of humans.
And with this line of thinking, it makes me wonder if the aliens are even aliens, or if somebody—
Well, we did see their bodies.
We saw something.
I mean, I guess you're right.
Something. Okay, so you get all those weapons, you go back in. On your B playthrough, you find out a little bit more to the story. All the fights and stuff are a little bit expanded and stuff like
You
that.
discover that all those people were people.
Right.
Everything in this franchise is just little tiny vignettes of total sadness.
Total sadness.
Because you're having a good time, you run around dodging balls and like backflipping into guys, and then it's just like, and now a scene where you watch a small shade child die, and you're like, oh, okay.
So on the B playthrough, once you've accomplished that, that's where you find out that the Shadow Lord was that boy from the beginning.
Yes.
And we find out that the villains of the game are actually now exorcised souls that were trying to hold on to whatever they thought humanity was, and have now gone to the great beyond.
Yeah, you straight up kill humanity.
Right, with really dope blades. You get this super cool— did you use that trident blade?
I tried to use as many weapons, like switch between them, because once they gave you the option to do more than just a sword, I was like, I'm gonna get crazy with it.
Combat is great in this game. We don't have time to go into a love letter to it, but it feels fluid. Switching weapons feels cool. Magic feels cool. You just do cool stuff.
I heard someone say that they didn't like the combat And their reasoning seemed sound to me. Like, I can understand not liking a thing. However, with that said, I loved the combat in this game.
I play a lot of fighting games. All I can say to that person is get good, brah. Like, you gotta play harder because once you are in the flow, it's so epic and cinematic.
And that's one of the things that I think really stands out in this is that for being this big, grand, crazy story about the concept of humanity, really, it nails both grand storytelling and sort of lower level personal storytelling in a way that Final Fantasy 15, I think, is a great example where they nail all of the moment to moment story beats of four friends walking around. But the overall story is nonsense.
Right.
And this has the potential to be nonsense because, like we said, everything in this, as we're explaining to you, is nonsense.
Right. When we tell you that the wolves are sentient beings and the shadow wolf is trying to save whatever the thought of wolves are because wolves don't really exist anymore.
Wolves don't exist anymore, and this one wolf is like, I'm trying to keep the concept of wolves alive.
The concept of wolves, not actual wolves, because wolves have been gone from this world. They live in a desert now.
It's just like, we don't want you to forget that we exist.
Right, which is true about humanity as well. Okay, now let's get to ending C. So you've done all that other stuff. You've now beaten the second half of the game again. This time when you defeat the Shadow Lord, Kaine goes berserk. You defeat Kaine, and the spirit inside of her tells you the first time he's made himself known to you.
Right.
I believe in this playthrough you haven't heard him yet.
You just know something's up with Kaine, but you've never gotten to the point where it's like, I've been here the entire time, bro.
The dude inside of Kaine comes alive and tells you, hey, you have an option now. Do you want to murder her, or do you want to save her, or do you want to save yourself, right? It's something like that.
Pretty much, yeah. In order to save her, you literally have to Yoko Taro yourself and delete.
Well, let's go with the other one first.
Okay.
So if you kill her, he thanks you, and she also thanks you for releasing her from this suffered existence.
Yeah.
This existence that has been torturous. Even before she was infested with this black spirit, it was bad.
I think what's messed up about this, no matter what, there is no ending where you and your sister are fine.
That is true of any great adventure that you go on.
The objective is you are trying to save your sister. And the result is you wipe out humanity.
Yeah.
You possibly kill one of your best friends.
Emil dies outside.
He's a skeleton. He's the little skeleton boy.
He's a skeleton boy that shoots a giant Kamehameha and is like, okay, bye, I love you, but you're never gonna know that. Emil's death is also super sad when he finally connects with himself and like makes that truth for himself. Brutal.
Everyone suffers in this game, which again, very human. And you bringing up Kaine's past, interesting that a bunch of replicants treated each other like shit when they're literally supposed to be shellless automatons, basically.
It's just like Will Smith and iRobot. How come the robots all crowd together inside of those hatches when they put them at the dumpster?
It's just like Will Smith and I Am Legend. The book version.
Okay.
The movie version shit. But the book version, the vampires are humans.
Right.
And they live like humans. That's they changed it, but that's the legend, the scary monster is Will Smith, technically.
So now let's go to the canon ending of the game. As you are made this choice, you decide the selfless act because everyone else has made huge sacrifices for you. You have been able to climb this Tower of Babel on the deaths of all of your friends, even your mentors in Devil and Popola, and
you straight up delete your file, which is why people say save 2 files.
I have a couple files. Yeah, I had to do the 2 files.
But you delete your file. Just straight up remove yourself from the game, from existence, and they do it in like a very sad, tragic way.
And your sister wakes up and goes, "Oh, you must be the White Knight that saved me." And Kaine goes, "Oh, I guess it has to be me."
Yeah.
See, I think she knows that something is missing in her memory because she's like, "Yeah, I guess it was me."
Well, and that brings us to ending E.
You know, by the time I get to that point, you've already put 50 hours into the game.
Right.
You're now going back and you're like, look at me as a kid again, not knowing anything, not knowing the horrors that await you. And as you get to that first big chapter, the first Kaine fight, you go to the hook and you fight that monster.
At first, it is literally just Kaine does the same thing you've always done. It is like that first experience, you just run around doing the story.
Again, a reset of the world.
Yeah.
The thing that has always happened. Well, I gotta save my sister, gotta do these things again, gotta kill that stuff.
You are just missing the main character. He's deleted.
Wait a second, because we're at the same part, but you do the opening missions of the game again.
Yeah.
You go back and do all that stuff, you fight that monster,
Yeah.
and then somewhere in that monster fight, Kaine wakes up.
It's the part where Kaine loses herself and she falls like sort of into the dark place, and the hand reaches out to grab her, and then gone.
And Kaine wakes up almost like this was a dream she was having, but she doesn't know who this person is. She knows something was supposed to be there, and then we get to play as Kaine.
Yes.
Oh, baby, is it fun!
You now get to experience the world as Kaine, but without the main character, and you realize something's up. And it all sort of culminates in you returning to the forest. And in the forest, everyone is dead.
Yes.
When that happened, I was like, what is happening right now?
I love that we go back to that place because of all of the different dungeons in the game. Even though you go through a text adventure, it was like, oh, you really wasted this spot. There's like a shop and a guy, and it's like, there's nothing else here.
Yes.
You know, every other place, there's like dungeons and you go deeper and stuff.
When you get down far enough, Kaine sees what at first I thought were supposed to be Adam and Steve, whatever they
Yeah, the two boys. Yeah, the two boys.
But I think they're supposed to be 9S and 2B.
Yes. And in the Japanese language version of it, it is the voice actress for it is those
wow.
voice actors trying to not sound like them. But I think 9S and 2B are the prototypes for everything else. Everything is based off their design. Boys and girls, all of that stuff come from these two images that are this Project Gestalt.
And Kaine wrecks them.
Destroys the robot. Destroys the robot to such a space that we then jack into the computer.
Yes. And from there gets really just her dealing with her own demons.
Again, these are robots. How can spiritual things be there? She is able to bring back Grimoire Weiss.
Yeah.
Who then accomplishes with her in defeating the core of the world, the crux of humanity. They end Project Gestalt.
Yes. The entire thing ends with them. By sacrificing yourself, you allow her to finish the job.
Well, and just like Lord of the Rings, the eagles come.
Yeah.
The eagles fly over. A huge pillar, which reminds me a lot of Automata, of the tower that's under the ground, because it flowers, but
I was going to say, it's like a flower, and it isn't like a rocket ship. But yeah.
But it's a cocoon. It's where they were hiding our main character. Whatever this robot was that has been removed from the world, she literally rips him back into existence.
In Drakengard, there's a cocoon thing, and I'm not sure what it is, but I think connected in a way that I'm still not entirely sure. In Final Fantasy XIV, they have 3 NieR raids.
Yeah.
And according to Yoko Taro, they are completely canonical.
Everything is canon. Want to go watch those plays or read the short stories? Everything is canon.
And so, you as a player in the game, you discover that in this deep mine, these 2 dwarves, one is black, one is white. They dress black and white. They are your friends, and you dig into this mine and you discover that inside is straight up just a factory is in there. There's a character named 2P, who's a 2B but all in white. And while you're there, 9S shows up and tries to kill 2P, and you help 2P defeat 9S. And that's like the first raid. Makes no sense. You fight robots.
We're always killing those 9s. Those 9s always get a little too bit uppity, and then we gotta kill them.
Yeah, it's interesting. The second raid is the discovery that 2P isn't the good guy we thought she was, but instead allied with the Red Girls. She betrays us, destroys a dwarf village, takes over the other 2B model people, only for us at the last minute to be saved by our hero and friend, the real 2B. We traverse a crashed version of the Yorha headquarters, discover the alien ship with the aliens from Automata, and in the end, do battle with a mega 2P made up of like all the other constructs. And again, all of this takes place in Final Fantasy XIV. In-game, a ship crashed on the planet that isn't Earth, and somehow is still all canonical. We learned that this all started because the dwarves discovered the orb from Drakengard underground, and the final raid is a deep dive into the net, I guess? Basically, it's hacking the world of 9S, except inside, you're fighting enemies from Replicant. And finally, you meet the Red Girls and do battle with them as they're trying to create some sort of orb 9S final Drakengard boss hybrid sexy robot death machine. And of course, it takes place in 2003 Tokyo from Drakengard. In the aftermath, 2B, 9S, and the White Dwarf go through to another world to keep fighting, I think? And the Black Dwarf misses his sister so much that he begins to go mad trying to research a way of finding her. Then she shows up and just takes his hand and they walk off together, and nothing is explained. When you arrive, he is missing, and all that is left behind is his hat, and then the game just tells you what choices the server made, who they sided with over the story of the quest, and people are like, would there be different endings? Was there something we missed? What is Yoko Taro trying to tell us? And that's it? Did he leave with his sister? Is he dead? Was it a metaphor? What did any of it mean? No clue, but it's entirely connected to everything that's going on.
Maybe that's it. We know that mankind is no longer exist in these weird forms, and maybe there's a soul that's involved. Stick them on Jupiter, stick them on Pluto. Where else have these beings gone in the universe? Are there other wars with the aliens? Did the aliens take some of these androids and program them to do other things?
Well, this brings up an excellent question, because as you know from Automata, virus that takes over, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but I think I wrote it, the logic virus.
Is that the Black Scroll?
Well, the logic virus, all their eyes turn red. And apparently in Drakengard, when you're controlled by like the evil god, your eyes turn red. Is that similar to when people got the syndrome that made them into salt or they turned into monsters? Is it all connected? Is there like some evil deity out there? Is it Drakengard lore? Do we have to go play Drakengard now?
There's so many Drakengard games, Jesse.
Apparently Drakengard 3 is the prequel to Drakengard 1.
And Drakengard 1's supposed to be awful too. It's supposed to have awful controls. Are they gonna remake that game, please?
What's even more insane is they just released a mobile game. And
which we know is canon, everybody. We know we have to play it, I guess.
I started up the game, and I know it's a gacha game, or at least it appears to be.
Okay.
But there's a plot. You wake up as a little girl, and you have a ghost. Like, literally like a spooky, scary skeleton's ghost. It looks like a sheet. And she wants you to call her mom. And that's the setup. And I'm like, oh no. So
that's not your mom, sweetheart.
I am really excited to dive deep into that. I have no idea what it's gonna be. It could be insanity, or it could just be like, get your 2B 3-star. I have no clue what it is. It's a wild franchise, and I'm so excited that we played it and that we got to experience it. And now that I know how it all connects in a better way, I know that I could appreciate it more if I played Drakengard. Do I want to go back and play games that are 15 plus years old? I'm not sure. I love the game Vagrant Story. I would never go back and play it. The controls are butts right now.
We, the player, we think that we're trying to beat this game, but what you're doing is interacting with these characters. I've played lots of video games. I don't give a shit about Pokemon Red. I don't give a shit about Red. That doesn't mean anything to me. These relationships feel deep, and they feel real, and they mean something to me as the player. And that's not something you run into in most video games.
And I think they do a great job of tricking people into playing them.
Yes.
Because you never know what to expect. And for the most part, the assumption by a lot of people is it's going to be like anime bullshit, and there's going to be a lot of like big booty women running around.
Boy, do you fucking take monsters and punch them with a big shadow hand and rip them apart. Great.
Yeah, I have no problem saying how much I love every character design this man like, I love all of it. Asses and like weird heads, like all of it. Where Bayonetta is just wacky fun for wacky fun's sake, this game is like, all right, now that we got you here, let me really mess with you. And it's that part of it that will keep you playing, not the sort of surface level goofs and the swearing and the boobies and all that. Like, that exists because like that is your entryway into a discussion about what it means to be a human.
Much like in the game where you pull against the layers of reality, you find out the truth of the world.
Yeah.
You as the player, horny anime man, who only picked up this game because of Kaine, because she's got that kind A.
It's true.
Once you get into it, you realize, oh, it's way deeper than any of those things. And it's funny that this isn't a video game of all things, but it speaks to our own existence. Are we in a simulation? Is any of this real, Jesse? Are the atoms that we are in this moment just interacting with each other? Because even our human experience is totally different. I have no idea how my voice and sound and body image is being filtered through those big, beautiful eyes of yours.
Let me tell
Your
ya.
body is a mystery to me.
Well, after this, it won't be. You keep talking like that. But it also, I think, is more than just like a Matrix level. It is religion to an extent. It's straight up just like God sees all and knows all. from moment one knows if I'm good or bad. So do I have a choice in any of this?
And this game would say yes. Devil and Popola know that he is potential of bringing down society, and they still let him do it. They still let you as the character pull down all the facades of reality. You literally pull down everything.
So then, would that not make them very human? If God creates humanity and then says, I know what every single one of you are gonna do, but I will not interfere, does that not make Devila, Popola, Gestalt, 2053, NieR, all of that? Are they not gods to these androids?
Amari, put that little Santel with the head exploded.
And that's NieR Replicant. That is NieR Automata. I have no idea how this relates to Dragon Guard, but like the NieR series, it is about question all this shit around you.
And this is what you have to think about for 80 hours. This is behind it. Oh, this is behind 80 hours. Why are we talking like this? Because we played all of those missions. And the fourth and fifth time, much like humanity, who finds itself in these cycles of destruction, here we are again talking about the same things and the same problems in the same parts of the world.
Gotta go get that mutton.
We gotta eat. There's a problem. There's barbarians coming in, Jesse. We gotta do something about the hordes at the gates.
Yeah.
We fall into these cycles over and over again, and it is our interactions with one another that give our lives meaning.
Most of life is living life, and then some shit happens, and then you're like, oh my God, and then back to living life.
There are very few moments in our lives that we actually find ourselves at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Where do you go right or do you go left? And for this game, all of those other choices don't matter until you hit those real crossroads. And those crossroads, just like we started, Jesse, would you punch God in the face if you could? Because I know the answer from the game. The answer is I'd rip his fucking eyeballs out.
If I had a grimoire that could make a fist,
Yeah.
I'd have to try.
I'd have to try something.
If I had a sea sailor, half-naked woman, a guy who was a skeleton, and a grimoire who could make a fist, you damn well know I would be at those gates like, let's do this.
They are the mod squad. They are the A-team. They are the most badass people in this world, and they just tear down existence to find the truth. And isn't that what we try to do in our human experience? Try to find the truths of our individual lives?
That is technically what science is.
right.
Science and philosophy. And I think that's what this game is. This game is about science and philosophy. You're trying to make your way through Philosophy 101, and somehow by the time you graduate college, you're like, what is life, man? And then you puff on your Black and Mild. Black and Mild.
Black and mild. Jeez Louise. Black and mild. Holy jeez.
Your grape flavored Black and Mild.
I'm a Swisher Sweet Man myself,
Oh,
but
yeah,
whatever.
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Shout out to all my students. I know you're out there. I love you guys.
We're drinking, just sucking on Black and Milds, drinking 40s. Oh. Live a good existence. Go punch God in the face.
And that's it for NieR Replicant 1 point whatever.
Whatever those numbers are, it is a beautiful game. It has got such a great story. There is so much content they added for this new one, but it's gonna take you 70 hours to get there.
Just like the first game, just like Automata, first game. Just like the last game, that is the first game we played, there's a lot. Once you beat it once, you have to beat it again, and then again, and then again.
And then again.
And everything you do unlocks more story, so it's worth doing, but it is a time sink. You will spend a lot of time playing this game, but trust me, when you walk out the end of it, the other side, you're gonna be like, oh my God.
You're fully gonna be converted to the NieR Church. You're gonna have to give money in the basket each week. The next game you're gonna play is gonna be on an iPad, and you're going to play it with us. If we pre-order it now, we get 300 crystals. It's a gotcha game, Jesse. They got us. Here's my money. Please tell me more. Here's
the
my
problem.
money.
Everything Yoko Taro does is canonical. He, honest to God, has said, everything is canonical, so I have to buy this.
Yep, I have to buy this. I gotta buy those plays. I gotta buy the novellas. I gotta play more novellas. I gotta play that other game. I gotta play Final Fantasy XIV because it's all part of the canon.
I've never been so invested in something that is clearly designed to make me hurt.
Right, and it's that classic sort of Japanese thinking, right? If you want to be the best sushi chef in the world, you do it every day. If you want to be good at this game, you're gonna play it every day. And then you're gonna be Jiro Dreams of Sushi, but it's NieR, and it's a very sexy dream, and you are happy you are a part of it.
Right, it's like super sexy, but the entire time you're questioning whether any of it's real, and then you realize, like, of course it's not real, and that makes it a little bit sexier.
That makes it even more real.
Yeah, it's depressing, this game. But it's one of those things you should definitely play in its depressingness, in its sadness, in its coping with mortality, and its coping with like what is real, it will make your life better. I say that weirdly, but like if you play these games, you will come out the other side just like, damn, I use my brain in a video game.
There's so much existential crisis we have about our lives, and we're like, what am I doing? And I'm not famous enough, or I'm not making enough money, or my dad doesn't love me. When what you're not doing is you're not enjoying the relationships that you have. It's not about the destination. We're all gonna die some one day. No one gets off this planet alive.
That all seemed oddly specific. What the
But it's
hell?
the time we spend together, Jesse. Look at us. We're vaccinated. We can do this now. We're in a party of friends.
If you call me daddy, I'm leaving.
Okay, father.
Thanks, patrons, for all your support. We love you. It's because of you we can keep this going. And, you know, we got so many more games to play and so many more goofs to goof.
Wherever you tell us what you want us to play. You are our financiers. You are the people that pay for these Mozart operas. Tell us what you want us to play.
You call this a Mozart opera?
Yeah, you know, whatever it is, you know what I mean? They're the rich people. We go to their house, we teach their kids how to play piano, we get to make
You're
things.
not wrong.
That's basically what we do.
You're our patrons, and you're like a foppish lord, and we are the kind of assholes who make music for you.
We wear very tight pantaloons, and you're like, when's your art gonna be done? And in our bedrooms, we're like, they never understand me.
Probably sleeping with your daughter, and that's fine, because you understand that, you know.
Well, I'm married. Oh, I don't have my ring on. I'm not married. I'm sleeping with all the ladies and lords of the castle.
You don't have it.
I don't have it. My finger got fat during COVID, so I gotta get it reshaped. It doesn't fit anymore. I tried to put it on, and I tried to wear it around my neck like the one ring of power, but it felt weird, so it's at home on a Buddha head. I gotta get a new ring. If you know any jewelers Patreons, let me know. I'd love to go see them. I'd like to be married again. Oh, thanks, Patreon. You're the best.